Just so you know. Sorry.
They brought up Maggie.
Oh, I'm gonna do that.
They brought up Maggie.
Maggie, your dog.
What a good name it is.
Well, they brought it up.
The New York
They had
Post.
researched that.
Story?
And they wanted to know who Maggie belonged to.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
crazy. Well, it's got
feel
over
bad
6
for the
million
Kennedys.
hits. It was the
Like
most.
all your tragedies and
It's probably a real.
It's
All right, we're rolling on video. The stream is up. I'm just going to connect the chat and we'll be good to go. And for anyone who might be watching at home, feel free to share it. And we want you to comment below the video. If you do it on the Wrong About Everything page or YouTube page, we will we'll put the comments up on screen. So we'll be starting in about 30
Or
seconds.
anyone who's on the show, feel free to share it too.
Well, I've given up on that too. It's just too hard.
Hold on.
Or even like the
Oh
clips
yeah,
too.
I
I'm
did
do-
last week. I
You
You
just
guys
want
had
to
great
point
clips
out.
I'm
last
doing
week
it
too.
right now.
Okay.
I did everything last week. I did clips and the show.
I'm just saying they were actually really good clips.
They were.
Everyone relax. I just did it.
I
know,
just
I
think you
did-
guys are so brilliant. You know, I just wish you could see yourselves the way I see you.
How idiots we are.
Yeah.
No.
They're sounding creepy.
Oh God.
Brian, you're quarterbacking?
Yes.
Cool.
You look healthy for someone who's been on the show
I know.
for 36 hours.
The shitter's doing you good.
Javier, I lost 7 pounds since Monday.
Well, you were pretty full of shit.
That was very, very quick. Very good.
That was good. That was.
It was good. Okay, and we are ready as
I would have
soon as
thought
you
more,
guys are.
actually.
Rude.
That seems like not enough. You should go back.
Let's see, and Davis. Oh, wait, Davis on 3.
Huh?
I forgot. You're not on the 4th mic. You
No.
don't have to switch it. All right.
Not nice.
All right, sounds. Oh, for the Spanks and thanks for the video. Since we're doing 2 videos, can you guys decide between you and Davis who's going to go first?
Oh,
So I
why
know
don't?
which
Is it helpful
I'll
if
be
Davis
last.
just goes first?
one. Okay, there
And
you
have
go.
Davis go first so
Yeah.
that the videos
That'll
are.
And Gabe, I'm last because I'm quarterbacking.
Okay, perfect. All right, we're going to start the commercial. We're good to go.
Support for Wrong About Everything comes from Minnesota's credit unions. Credit unions are locally based, member-owned financial cooperatives that return earnings to members through higher savings rates, lower loan rates, and reduced fees. Visit mncun.org for more information.
Go ahead, Brian.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Wrong About Everything podcast. I am conservative strategist and 7 pounds lighter than I was on Monday, Brian McDaniel.
I am former Republican Senate Majority Leader Amy Koch.
I am small business attorney Davis Senseman.
I am Democratic strategist and the Puerto Rican heat, Javier Murillo. And we are.
And we are
Wrong About
Everything.
Oh, God. Brian, do we have to
Brian's
ask?
zooming in because of he's not able to be away from the toilet for very
little
long.
lighter.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling I'm much better now, but travel did not seem like a risk that was worth taking.
No.
Whose beautiful white bag is that on the
I don't know.
table?
That is all of ours. It's a gift.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
It's a gift from a fan.
a fan.
Here, I'll put it down. Yeah.
Okay.
They better not
Well,
be
anyway.
a dick.
Here.
Before we get to that, welcome to the Minnesota Credit Union Network studios, deep within the bowels of MBC Studios in Northeast Minneapolis. Please check us out on MCN 6, probably about 4 or 5 in the morning, maybe. And we got the lovely and talented Gabe Noah running the board. Check out all the other fine podcasts that he has. He keeps telling me about new ones that are coming on, and each one sounds cooler than the last. So with that, all right. Javier, you're having a big week, right?
What does that mean?
It's your birthday.
Oh, that.
What does that mean?
I thought we were.
You went and saw Heart or
30,
something.
38 years old.
I am older today than I was last week on the air. Yeah. Yeah. So my lovely husband surprised me last night with and he's like, we're going to see a concert. I didn't know what it was. And I walk up, see the marquee. It's Ann Wilson of Heart.
Wow.
Nice.
And I'm a huge Heart fan. For the longest time, I've wanted to get 2 girl cats and call them Ann and Nancy Wilson of Heart. And just like insist that everyone call them that every time. Ann and Nancy Wilson of Heart. Get down. Or Ann Wilson of Heart. But she was amazing. And, there's nothing like a reality check on your age than going to see a band that you liked when you were young.
So I didn't want to say, but you took a selfie. You guys looked amazing. But behind you, it was all people carefully seated, waiting for the start of the rock concert.
Yeah.
And I was
So
like,
the rocker,
no.
the rocker that you're going to see is 73 when the show starts at 7:30. And there's a half-hour intermission. There's no opening act, but there's a half-hour intermission. I like 30 minutes. I thought a game of bridge was about to break out because people were just like sitting like there's like. I have this amazing video. I was actually thinking I'll put this on TikTok because like during Barracuda, which is like her big Heart song from Heart, and like it's everyone's on their feet, and then I pan down to the one dude next to me who's asleep, just asleep. Everyone's
Asleep
rocking out
during
except this one dude, like
Barracuda?
he's snoring asleep. He's just gone to the world. Like, but it was a
Little
lovely,
reality
yeah.
check.
But it was definitely. I was like, wow. There's a lot of old people at this concert. Like,
It's amazing because your picture, I was like, look at all those people carefully sitting behind him. So
it was almost.
they get out their cell phones from their seats.
I know. You know what they're going to be doing Friday night? That crowd watching Almanac.
Yes, they
all
are.
of them.
They
ran into
They probably were
June.
excited to see you.
Ran into June and Paul down in, this today was in Sandstone, Minnesota, at the McDonald's. And they were very excited to see me. They recognized me by my beautiful smile as I opened the door for them. This one. Yeah.
Did they say that, or do you just?
They said that.
Okay.
I didn't. Why would I say that?
She assumed
June
that's
was so sweet. They were going to their 68th class reunion in Duluth, and they recognized me. They say hi.
Well, we have many congratulations to Javier for living another year. That's not all we have. Today,
Yesterday.
my grandmother, Lottie M. White of Oak Forest, Illinois, turns 99.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I was able to go down and see her right before I left for Europe, and we should all be that with it at 99.
Yeah, she
I
looks
suspect-
amazing. Your grandma looks like fire. She is like amazing. So
I suspect I won't make it that long, but that's
here's to
probably-
100 for Lottie.
And also, I now share a birthday with friend of the program, the daughter.
Oh, I know.
Friend
Yeah.
of the program, Jeremy Estenson.
Oh,
The otter.
Born.
The Otter lobbyist, Jeremy Estenson, and his spouse had a baby girl, Ida Jean.
Aw, so you and Ida have the same.
We have the same birthday. It was born yesterday morning, which I think portends great things for that kid. The Otter,
Well,
I am
and
sure
what-
that
and what-
kid is going to be a raging leftist.
Yes.
There's no way that kid is not going to be a raging
100%.
leftist.
Well, and it really, Jeremy and his wife being able to have that baby is so fantastic because they were essentially told that they were not going to be able to have kids, and they were trying to adopt, both through all, and that wasn't working out either. And then they found out they were pregnant. So it really is a great story, and we are extraordinarily happy for them and their family.
Nice.
Because last week, you remember, we were able to celebrate Dustin Greggy's new child, Casper, and Dustin Greggy, who did our website at wrongabouteverything-podcast.com. And then also, don't forget our great friends at Blue Ox Media, who have those billboards all over town that sometimes have our shining faces on them.
No, not our faces. Just the name of the program.
Oh, well,
Not our faces.
Lies.
that's the most part, right?
Fake
We really
news.
The logo.
we shouldn't lead with our faces anyway. So also want to talk about our good friend.
Amy's like, I object to that.
I want to talk about our good friends at Bradshaw and Bryant. Their entire team of attorneys and staff is dedicated to providing the legal advice you need, combined with the service and personal attention you deserve. If you have questions about how they can assist you with a personal injury, wrongful death, or criminal defense matter, do not hesitate to contact them. Consultations are free. Please contact them at 800-770-7008 or at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Yeah.
I just had the Empire Carpet number go through my head when he said 800. We should get them as a sponsor.
I know. Do they still exist?
Empire today.
I think they do.
They were
They do
Chicagoland
exist.
area, weren't they?
Yeah, because I grew up. They would back when they were just local in Chicago. They would be on the Cubs broadcast.
Mhm.
It's 588-2300.
They did a good job. That was good.
Good, it's all stuck
Yeah.
in their head.
Good job, Empire.
All right. So getting into national news, it wouldn't be a week of the year without Donald Trump being the target of some probe. So Donald Trump has let his supporters know on Truth Social that, hold on, as I'm scrolling up here. That he's received a letter informing him that he is the target of the Justice Department's investigation into efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election, which is an indication that he should soon be charged by U.S. prosecutors, and he is expecting to be charged. So these are new federal charges. They're on top of the existing state and federal counts in New York and Florida, and completely separate from the election interference investigation, which is almost to its conclusion in Georgia.
He's going for
And-
he's going for the equivalent of the EGOT of it.
Yes.
Of indictment.
Yes.
Like-
He needs to break a city law
Yeah.
and then a county law. Yeah.
There you go.
Something
Yeah.
international.
It's internet.
Yeah,
oh, I
just
think
some
that one's easy.
international-
Yeah.
yeah.
We can get someone to charge him.
Yeah.
Like-
And yet he's probably still going to be there because what's his name?
So, first of all, it's always interesting because he puts it out himself, right? Which is, I would say, not dumb. He gets ahead of it, right? So this matches what he does. He'll get a letter notified, and it must drive his lawyers.
yeah, because then
bonkers
he
because
generally commits a crime in the announcement.
Right,
He generally
he
also
announces,
denies
or
the
he'll make
election.
comments,
or- yeah.
right, or things like that. So no surprise that he gets a letter and he brings it out. But it also seems to work with him for supporters because then he is setting the narrative. But here we go. It'll be interesting if an indictment is brought in this. Who's in charge of this? Is that Jack Smith?
Oh yeah, Jack Smith. He's got all the Trump related federal charges. So I mean, this is one of these things, right? This case in particular is the one that I think is just like that. There are people who believe that it is problematic that the Justice Department of the president, who was his opponent in 2020 and will be again in 2024, be investigating him. Although and don't believe in the independence of the independent counsel or the special counsel. But I think the question for us as a democracy is like when you see something like January 6th happen, like we should not hold him accountable.
Well, and the January 6th supporters in the 2022 election didn't do great.
Right.
So it's like, okay. I mean, I don't see how Ron DeSantis or anyone short of him going to jail before,
which is not
the
going to happen
election.
before, right? Which is not going to happen before.
He's
the
gonna
election.
be he's out there. Ron DeSantis, there's all these articles
Right.
people losing hope in his election. People, and
Well,
it's
I also
just
think it's interesting, all those articles. I would just call kind of BS on the media, right? They've picked the guy that's closest, and they do. He's in
but
the
he's
news.
polling terribly.
I agree. I think it's going to be Trump. I'm just
And he's
saying
bleeding
that
money.
Yeah.
The
He had a
media
team.
reports gleefully on every DeSantis screw up. And anyway, it's just
he had a team of
It's
100
interesting.
people on his payroll, and they were like, "We're going to trim those down." A
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's it is yeah. So
And it'll be interesting to see what they have. This is the other thing, though. If you're going to go after something like this, you better have the goods. This is
the
massive.
goods happened
Yeah,
on TV.
on TV.
Well,
And-
it happened in front of the world.
Well,
And he didn't have good lawyers. They were just saying things on tap lines and sending a
Yeah.
text.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. And they have apparently they have agreements with fake electors.
Yeah.
Who are
Yes,
who
we
are
have heard that.
testifying.
We heard that in conjunction with the Georgia thing, right? That there was
It was Michigan. Michigan. this week.
Michigan.
No, well, Michigan
Michigan
just charged their fake electors, but also the fake electors have been in Jack Smith's grand jury
Okay.
As well.
And they've been getting immunity or potential cutting deals
Some
Yeah.
sort
for
of
their
deal.
testimony.
I watched a video today where it said, like, well, what are Trump's lawyers telling him? Like, how can he stay out of jail? And the answer, I was like, this is bananas. The answer was get elected and then
I
basically change the
absolutely-
laws.
and then like basically
Yeah.
pardon yourself.
Yeah.
No, I believe that's it. I believe that is why he's running.
That-
I
yeah.
absolutely believe it. It's
also
just
because
a-
he gets to just raise as much money. You know,
Yep,
it's like,
yep. And I assume that money's going for lawyers, right?
Yeah. But I like.
Can it?
I mean, this is
Federal
but
money be, I don't know.
It is an amazing thing and a scary thing that every time one of these things happens, his popularity
Yeah.
with the Republican electorate goes up, and that there's essentially no there's no one right now who's rising to the challenge.
well,
And
what's
so,
his
like,
name's
what
trying?
is it?
Chris Christie.
Just imagine what it is going to be like to have, like, think forward next year, like a president, like who's literally on a candidate rather who's literally on trial. Like that's going to be
That's
bananas.
probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, and
Right now, if you look forward, that you have to say that's what's going to happen.
right,
That he will be the nominee.
yeah,
I mean, we'll see. We don't.
yeah.
but-
So here we go again. But
Speaking of going places again, Rep. Pramila Jayapal called Israel a racist state, which is an opinion she's allowed to have, but then she walked it back considerably, which I don't know why she thinks that does her any good. What she said was, and she was speaking to a crowd, they were getting amped up, and she wanted to, as she calls it, she wanted to kind of calm them down a little bit. And she said, I want you to know that we have been fighting to make it clear that Israel is a racist state. And then
40 of her Democrat colleagues.
who
And that-
who run in purple districts and need to pander to red
IPAC.
people. Yeah.
To be clear, this is not even like this whole controversy is not. It's not about facts.
No.
It's not about it. It's certainly not about the facts of the state of Israel, because the state of Israel literally just passed a law like declaring itself pretty much a racist state.
They're disbanding their judiciary so that they can. I mean, call America a racist state. I would not disagree with you. We never hear from Israelis about what they've been in the streets for months saying this is terrible.
But it isn't pandering to the red states. It's pandering to the majority of Americans if they are in swing
it's
districts.
Not the majority of Americans.
it is
the
not-
majority of Americans don't
The
care
majority of
about.
Israel is
Do you
Don't
think
care
the
about
majority of the
Israel.
Americans like are
Support
strongly
Israel as their ally.
They don't care. They don't care.
I do.
Yeah.
Well,
And
but here's-
if,
but here's-
if the Republicans were so worried about anti-Semitism, they wouldn't have RFK Jr. testifying in Congress. End of
Well,
the
but here-
story.
But here's what I don't understand. So, Jayapal said after that, I do not believe the idea of Israel as a nation is racist.
Yeah.
So what is it?
She's talking about the action. She's not talking about how it exists. Like this is so tired. This is so tired.
I like listen. I used to believe very strongly in a two-state solution, and in a two-state solution, one can absolutely argue that Israel can be both a Jewish state and a democratic state.
Yeah.
Under a two-state solution, two-state solution is off the table. Israeli government has
Netanyahu
taken
will not-
Israeli people have taken it off the table by the way they vote over and over, and by their actual sentiments. And so right now, what we have is a country where Arabs within Israel, so citizens of Israel, not even talking about the occupied territories, have fewer rights rights and are being and are officially targeted. And the law I was referring to is like it's a law that establishes the state of Israel as the nation of the state of the Jewish people, in which it realizes its natural, cultural, religious, and historical rights of self-determination, and that the state of Israel is exclusive to the Jewish people.
Yeah.
So right now, what you have is a situation that within Israel, non-Jews are second-class citizens. And then when you talk on top of that, the occupied territories, which they are expanding their occupation of, this is an apartheid state. If we can't call like it an apartheid state and ergo a racist state, we're just not dealing in facts. So, like we're just not. We're saying that because there are allies, we should not say uncomfortable things. And if that's what we're saying, that's fine. But the question of like facts is not at issue.
But what she said is that she wants to clarify. I do not believe the idea of Israel as a nation is racist. I do believe that Netanyahu's extreme right-wing government has engaged in discriminatory and outright racist policies. Then say that. As a congressperson,
she was responding
and as
to
the leader
hecklers.
of the Progressive Party, right? Like, choose your words very carefully. You have a duty as a leader you have every right to say whatever you want, but you also have a duty as a leader to be cautious. And I think that's what the 40 of her colleagues.
Yeah.
I mean, but
were
it's
saying.
also
It's
true
like,
that
you don't
when
get
Betty
just to pop
McCollum
up.
says these things, they land differently than when Pramila Jayapal says them. Like, let's be honest about the fact that Betty McCollum has been saying these things for her entire career. She threw AIPAC lobbyists out of her office. She gleefully talks about it. She did not go to but nobody cares because Betty McCollum looks like Betty McCollum.
Yeah.
Well, in people's defense, they probably don't know who Betty McCollum is.
Does her House
Well, it's
colleagues,
in the
do his House
paper
DFL
today.
colleagues know?
because she's not targeted the
Right.
way that the women of color in Congress are targeted. Look, I would be clear. I think the problem, what I'm naming as the problem, is the fact that 40 Democratic representatives would go after her on it.
Yeah.
That is our problem,
Yeah.
right? We are so
They're
we're so
terrified.
beholden. Right,
They're
exactly. We're so
terrified.
terrified of IPAC in particular and that lobby and the way that they play in elections. That is what they're responding to. They're not responding to the question of facts, because in a matter of, if we're just talking purely facts, what she said, that is her opinion. That is her opinion, and I think it is supported by many facts. It is an opinion that I agree with.
Well, then why not say?
Because then she gets so much flack from her. I mean, she gets so much. It's going to keep being an issue if she doesn't say, fine, let me clarify. I could have spoken clearer. I could have. But it's ridiculous that then Dean is like, let me jump out here and talk about just Jesus, give it a rest.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
well,
and then we
here's
have
the
to
thing.
do a Republican, we have to do a little, what do they call those, resolution that means nothing. And Betty only voted present on it because she's like, this is ridiculous.
Right.
Anti-Semitism
I'll-
is a problem.
I want to give Davis and Javier credit. I believe that you two believe Israel is racist. I believe that Representative Jayapal believes Israel is racist. She chicken shitted out of it. I'm going to give you guys credit for saying what you actually believe. So,
Yeah, it's the eternal problem, particularly with the state of Israel, that like we cannot if you read Haaretz or other media in Israel, that there are the debate in Israel is lively. People say things in Israel all the time that Democratic politicians, if they said them here, or any politician, if they said them here, would be blasted, because it's a third rail that has nothing to do with public opinion. What it has to do is with a lobby that plays really heavily in elections, spends enormous amounts of money, and people are scared.
But it also has to do with the like stabilization of the region. I mean, and that's what
it's
what the Democrats said.
Right.
They talked about
They can say that, but that's not what they care about.
well. Okay,
But-
I mean,
right.
but that's what people do have to consider and care about in the
Right,
region.
they should, but that's not what they're caring about.
Yeah, but like one of the things that is typically said about Israel is like it's the only democracy in the region. Democracy for who?
Right.
For whom is it a democracy?
I mean, the
Well,
other thing is
they
like,
clearly say Israel is a legitimate homeland of the Jewish people. This is from the Democrat, the
Yeah, no-
follow-up Democrat Congress people's statements.
But I mean, the
and efforts to delegitimize and demonize is not only dangerous, anti-Semitic, but it also undermines American
Well, it's not.
security.
They don't get to say, those 40 legislators don't get to say what's anti-Semitic unless they're 40 Jewish legislators, unless they're all Jewish legislators.
Well, we
and
don't
I don't
know
think
that. We
I don't
don't-
know if they
we
are.
don't know that, but
we
I'm
don't
saying
get to.
that's
I don't get to say what is. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Oh, Dean Phillips is Jewish.
Well, it was
yeah, he was
organized by
adopted into a
Josh
Jewish family, yes.
Gottheimer, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Greg Landsman, Brad Schneider, Dean Phillips of Minnesota, Jared Moskowitz of Florida, and Kathy Manning of North Carolina. So I don't.
I think the question of that gets mixed up when and this is only in the case of Israel. We don't like people like criticize African countries and all the time. Like it's like, but when it comes to Israel, any criticism of Israel is labeled by the right wing, by the right wing lobby as anti-Semitic, and so we
'Cause it
cannot
shuts
have
down discussion.
We cannot have an honest conversation about like they have violated international laws. Like again, I was a strong supporter of the Israeli state. Karen Moratz, formerly of the program, and I used to joke that I was much more of a Zionist than she was, and she was expected to be as a Jew, and I had gone on this trip, a similar one that you'd gone on, Amy, some years ago to Israel. If invited, I would not go on that same trip again. I simply would not. I think it is horrific. I applaud the people of Israel who are standing up against like their government becoming fascist. But a lot of those very people who are protesting nonetheless support the policies of apartheid.
Okay, and I get what you're all saying, but what I object to is you're saying, oh, this is a right wing saying it's anti-Semitic. It's not. I'm reading the words.
Yeah,
it came
but
from
that's-
43
it's-
Democrat
but it's-
Congress.
We're counting
not-
them.
the-
We're
yeah,
counting
yeah,
them in
as
the
the
right
right wing.
Yeah, in the
as a right
when
wing.
it comes to this
yes,
topic,
absolutely.
yes,
As fine
they
on-
fall right in line.
on this subject. Absolutely.
Maybe just people haven't.
I mean,
like,
also,
maybe
I
just
feel
have
like
a different feeling
what we missed on
and
this
belief
is
on
that this Israeli president has no power. This man is a figurehead. He does nothing. It's not like it was Netanyahu. Like, this man's a figurehead, and they were like, no, I'm not going to go. And he himself in his speech was basically like, hey, yeah, I know we got fucking problems in our country. It's not great. And it's like, okay, well, if he gets, it's such a dog whistle. It's such a political football. It's such a, hey, we care so much about Jewish people, but we are happy to embrace RFK Jr. and all these other fascists.
I don't know who's embracing RFK Jr.
The Republicans had him testify in
okay,
Congress.
That's not the same as embracing. They have a lot of people testify. That's not the
They
same.
invited him to Congress and legitimized him.
The Harlan Crow, Clarence Thomas's sugar
Friend?
daddy, is a big funder of his campaign. Right, because it's useful. It's useful as splitting the vote. But I mean, look, I think that we are far beyond Amy, like to your point. I think yes, they have a
just
different opinion.
fundamentally disagree on this issue.
Yes, and these Democrats are caving to right wing pressure on because by democratic principles, I strongly believe that we would stand up in any other country, because we did when it came to South Africa, to a system that puts one group of people under another group of people in a country.
So you don't believe this? They are where a good majority of the Democrat Party is?
No.
On Israel?
Well, they'll
absolutely
say-
not. No,
No.
absolutely not.
Like
I mean, this is borne out by
people or
polls.
the
well,
people?
just like Democrat Party
No.
The constituents? No. I don't
You think
think
most
they care.
Democrats believe Israel is a racist
No,
state?
Not-
I think
not
they
even-
do not care. They aren't so, oh dear God, you can't say anything about Israel. I think most Americans don't give a shit.
Yeah. But I
think
think
this
when you
has been-
actually poll Democrats on the question, increasingly, this is why IPAC is freaked out about progressive Democrats, is because they get a lot of they are changing minds, and people are less and less attached to the question to Israel, or more critical of Israel's role, and particularly with vis-a-vis the Palestinians. And not just Democrats, but American Jews actually polled, and they disagree with Israeli government. Like, there's this assumption that which is the problem with saying that criticizing Israel is anti-Semitic, is because many Jews in the United States disagree with Israeli policies.
Well, staying on the topic of American Jews, Senator Chuck Schumer this week. How's that for a segue?
That was a good segue.
It was a terrible segue.
Oh, I think it was fantastic. He introduced, I think this is a pretty big deal. He introduced legislation dealing with non-human intelligence, which, might be what they call some of us on the show here. But he's talking about UFOs, everybody.
Marco Rubio is bipartisan. This is bringing the people together.
Yeah, he's the majority leader. Chuck Schumer, along with as soon as I start talking, my computer goes. Sorry, I'm having a technical problem here. But yeah, essentially, what this legislation is saying is that
non-human intelligence is defined as any sentient, intelligent, non-human form, regardless of nature or ultimate origin, which may be presumed responsible for unidentified flying objects. So, and they are saying in the statement that private contractors may secretly possess recovered UFOs and, quote, biological evidence of living or deceased non-human intelligence.
Private contractors and the government.
But
and the government, that's what I'm getting
disclosure, right?
Yeah, they're saying they'd make a committee,
independent 9-member agency, because that's what. So the bill not only acknowledges but forms a 9-member agency to collect, review, and declassify UAP records. Now, we have been all over this. This has not been a legislative. This has not been a part of our legislative
This is our
agenda.
federal and galactic agenda.
But it has been. We did. We had a galactic agenda that had to do with hey, if they're here, let us know. And
they're here.
Honestly, this seems like Chuck Schumer saying they're here, we're going to declassify them, and we're going to let you know.
And Marco Rubio said, "Hey, listen, these are higher level people that are whistleblowing, people with extreme security clearances who have whistleblowed about UFO stuff." And he said, either these people are telling the truth, or we have given extreme security clearances to real loons who are leading us on a. And it's
former intelligence officer David Grush. This was the story, right? He said that there is the secret UFO retrieval and reverse engineering illegally hid from Congress.
Yeah.
And talked about having what do they say? Non-human. What is it? Non-human intelligent life forms.
And flying saucers.
Yeah, and here's the thing too: is Joe Rogan is we're gonna look at history, and he's gonna
be right.
Joe Rogan
100%
was the guy who was trying to clue us into the truth, and this starts to answer everything.
They're going to have a hearing next week at this time, on this day, on Wednesday of next week. They're having a hearing in the House Oversight Committee with a dozen superstar witnesses.
Can we go live?
One of them's RFK Jr.
I think we should. Right now, we should. That would be amazing to be live at that.
It is. So
Chuck Schumer's sick of asking.
For so long, it was just oh, you're kind of crazy. There was so many reports of sightings, and do I think that some people were just reporting for attention? For sure, of course, but there's been so many of our military that have reported videos that have been put out. They're boy, and I think talk about the Roswell folks. Those people were picked on, made fun of, and most of them, none of their stories have ever changed. None of their stories have ever changed.
No, they're I sometimes go down YouTube rabbit holes of documentaries and they start with documentaries and then they veer into
sure.
Yeah, crazy, but into then the Egyptians,
right.
all that stuff. But I for one am ready, so it's fine. Let us know.
I feel like Chuck Schumer and Marco Rubio were asking. They were trying to be nice. They were like, just let us see the UFO stuff. Just let us see it. Just let us see it. And they were like, no. And they were like, you know what? Fine.
Right.
Yep. Rubio is the vice chair of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence.
But here's why I still don't believe it. Because you telling me that JFK... No. Well, if Chuck Schumer is saying it's there, I'm not going to deny that maybe he knows more about it than I do. I bet he does. But I just can't believe that Donald Trump, assuming they let him know anything, that Bill Clinton, JFK, that they didn't,
I feel like they didn't tell them. That's why Chuck Schumer and Marco Rubio are like, we're finding out.
I think plausible deniability
Yeah.
for the presidents. Why would you tell the guy with the biggest microphone?
You wouldn't tell them.
You wouldn't. And if it's private contractors that have some of this, they can think, hey, it's ours, not yours.
If you're president, that's not the first thing you ask about.
I'm sure they all did.
Absolutely the first thing I
I'm
would
sure
ask.
they did, but I'm sure they were like,
That'd be the first thing you'd ask
Mr.
about?
President, we have no UFO stuff. And I'm sure Joe Biden asks all the time.
Yeah.
Where's the UFOs?
Yeah, and they're-
Chuck, get me the UFOs.
Yeah, I know, and it's like Cargill or something. Like they just like
But
That would be a good place to keep it. They're a private
But this-
company.
this answers everything. I mean, if it's true, the pyramids, this answers everything. Any question you have, here
goes
they're
Joe.
gonna know. I still don't believe it because I think that what reason is there for them to come here and hide? What's the point?
They're waiting.
what
They're
the-
plotting. They're getting ready.
dude,
Well, they should get it while there's still something to get.
we're a simulation.
Now they don't want it anymore.
I mean,
They're like,
What will it be like the shock to the public that everyone assumed it would be? I don't think so as much anymore. And part of it is because it has leaked out now since 2017. And even remember during the pandemic, people would be like, hey, it was like COVID and everybody was locked down. And then like all this information came out about UFOs and people were like, oh, by the way, they're all real.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah,
Now,
it's like-
back to Tiger
yeah.
King, like we're all like, cool.
Interesting.
I feel like what people have lived
Remember
through,
Tiger
in
King?
the last like 5 or 10 years, they'll be like, great, okay, yeah, sure.
I feel
UFOs. Like, I don't think it's gonna, unless it's like all these people, unless Chuck Schumer and Marco Rubio are like, I know some of you are aliens, like Congress people and senators. Like maybe that's we can take it.
Yep.
I think so. All right.
Let's
So
move
that's
on.
the galactic section of the podcast. We just have to put a spot in. We have to put a
Moving
spot in.
on.
It's gonna need to go up higher because I don't want to piss these guys off. It's gonna need to go further.
True. And we're willing to be spokespeople and or apologists
Exactly.
for alien
Come on our
overlords.
podcast.
So he was referenced earlier in the program. Clarence Thomas. It's something that we've talked a lot about on the program. And Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, is calling for term limits and new ethical rules for the Supreme Court. Now, both of those things, we certainly can have, lively debates, and you can have an opinion on one side or the other, and probably it is something that should be looked at from time to time. However, that's the small part of the headline, because Ellison called for Clarence Thomas to be impeached because he's illegitimate, which I don't know exactly what that means, and then compared him quite directly to a house slave. Now, we've had this Uncle Tom discussion in Minnesota before. And I know Keith's trying to sell books out, and that's what he's out in Detroit. He's selling books, but I'm not quite sure that calling people house slaves is something that is appropriate.
Where did he
It's
do that?
just-
Where did he do that?
It
What do you mean,
was on
where did
He
he
didn't
call some-
say the word house slave.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that. Like Alpha News said he said that. He didn't say that. He didn't say that.
So, okay, what he said was, you saw Django Unchained.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the character of Steven, who was what? What was he?
He was a collaborator.
You can bullshit.
No,
that's
like,
right.
do you know?
What was
do you
he?
know
What was he? What was he?
Do you know what interview? Where this was? Let me ask you this
It was
question.
his hometown of Detroit.
It's his hometown of Detroit, and it was
To promote his book, Break the Wheel.
Yep, and it was with the Michigan Chronicle. It's an African American newspaper. This is a conversation that he was having with black reporters for a communication for a newspaper that has existed since I think 1936. Do you think that when a white person says the N-word, that is the same thing as when black people say the N-word?
what on earth does that have to do with this?
Well, because the point I'm getting to, right, is that there are conversations that the Black community has that are historical in nature, that happened all the time. He did not use inflammatory language. He made a historical analogy that is talked about within the Black community in a Black community conversation that is 100. I was actually here, when I first saw you put it on the run sheet, I was prepared to defend like what I thought he had said. If you go by the headline, but it's not even what he said. He compared him to a character in a film, and gave specific historical analogies for like explanation for why the comparison is accurate. People can disagree with it, but like I am more interested in knowing, like, because we have talked about. But I mean, I think specifically Davis and I have talked about the Clarence Thomas being for sale to a billionaire and his like just now countless ethical lapses. I don't recall, but you correct me if I'm wrong. Like, what is your guys' opinion on that? Are you guys okay with Clarence Thomas taking like hundreds of thousands of dollars in undisclosed gifts from a billionaire who then has business before the Supreme Court?
No, I'm not okay if that's what's happened. No.
Because I think that's what's at issue.
But I'm not going to be calling names. I think that you can have that discussion.
Again, he didn't call any names. He didn't. He didn't. He just didn't.
No, he made an analogy.
Did Stephen James take hundreds of thousands of dollars from a billionaire who had money in front of who had business in front of the Supreme Court?
No,
and his
he
point wasn't
said,
even about.
You can use this quote
about
Clarence Thomas has decided that his best personal interest is siding with the powerful and the special interest, regardless as to who they're going to hurt.
So say that. Say that.
That is what he said.
I understand that. I understand that. But why does he have to make the comparison?
Because he's a black man talking to a black community,
and
that's why Alpha News is the only. That's why Alpha News is the only people who covered this.
If it was intended to be inflammatory, he would have said what you guys are accusing him of saying, and that's not what he said.
He would have said he's a house slave, but he didn't say that.
He gave a historical analogy that is commonly discussed in the black community about people who collaborate with power. Like that is a conversation that happens all the freaking time. And historically, how could it not in this country? Because of the fact that like slavery was an institution that depended not just on white people, but unfortunately on picking some black people to have privileges and play them off of each other. And so it's a historical conversation that has happened forever. That is a perfectly fine thing for him to say in that conversation. And like there's a reason why only Alpha News like is talking about it this way, because they're saying that he said something he didn't say.
Absolutely said it. And
he did not use the word house slave. We just read what he said. Should we read it again?
I think you should read the whole thing again. And I think that you're not being intellectually honest, because
I'm fine with what he said.
You talked about dog whistles earlier. So what you're saying is that the only thing that counts as being said is if you say it directly. What's a dog whistle then?
You think a black man talking to a black community had a dog whistle about another black man?
Because he wanted to equate Clarence Thomas with being a slave without calling him a slave. So that way you guys would be able to split hairs like this.
Well, the bottom line is the only people covering this is Alpha News, and I find them a joke. Like they're who you go to when no reputable reporter.
You used to say about Joe Rogan, and now look.
When no reputable reporter will write your article, you go to Alpha News.
I think that there are some. I actually don't like to dismiss all the like. I think it's easy to dismiss an Alpha News or like a Unicorn Riot, and I don't dismiss those folks because the reporting has become so hard now economically, and some of these independent outlets, do they always get it right? No, but they also do sometimes break some stuff that then becomes a thing. I think about John. Representative John. Who went to Hugo and was telling
Thompson
John
that the Star Tribune ran 1,000 articles about?
Right, but only after the Alpha News broke this.
If the Star Tribune thought this was...
I'm very sensitive about calling like independent news. I don't care if it's Alpha or left wings. Sometimes they get it right. That's all.
This interview was covered by lots of other people, and they focused on the actual relevant and part that he called for his impeachment and drew attention to Clarence Thomas' ethical lapses.
I think if the Star Tribune thought there was any merit to this, they would publish it because it would be the most clicked on thing by half of the state who hates Keith. I mean, it was a close
and
race.
then till next week, when you guys are shitting all over the Star Tribune as as just protecting the baby mayor and all of that, you can't pick and choose when someone's a reputable source.
You're saying Alpha News is a reputable source. Are you going on record?
You're saying
They have,
the Star
yes,
Tribune
they have
is.
broken.
The
they
Star
have broken
Tribune is
stories.
the paper of record. I didn't say do they have a slant? Do their editors? Sure. I'll say
And
that.
by the way, they also in Alpha News enumerate the dollars that Crow gave to Clarence Thomas in the
well,
story.
great,
If you-
because
right?
I mean,
on Thomas's alleged ethics violations, and they put that in the story.
Right.
So,
I mean, I
because
just,
I think
like,
any story
again,
where you're
I just-
discussing this should also include what the
What he's
Attorney
done.
General is talking about.
I wish you guys were as outraged about a Supreme Court justice who is so fundamentally corrupt.
Bought and sold.
Bought and sold did not take himself out of a case involving his own wife, like when it came to the January 6th insurrection, and he's taken millions of dollars, and that is what. That is what Keith Ellison was addressing there,
But why not? Why not deflect? Why not deflect from that?
And you don't get to tell black people what they talk about when people talk
But
about.
it's easier to say,
historical
hey, I don't like what this guy's saying because we don't want to talk about the fact that this Supreme Court justice is probably bought and sold.
Right.
Plugs. Let's go first.
Brian, you and I are going to be on Almanac this Saturday.
We are. It's
Friday,
actually
sorry.
going to be. It's actually going to be an all wrong about everything cast, because it's going to be you and me, and then Sen Ben and Abu Amara, who have all been guest hosts of this program. So
Sorry,
tune in.
I wasn't able to. They did ask. That's nice. They were going to do.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I was gonna, but I have plans. Dang it.
What are your plans?
Oh, I'm gonna be out on the lake
Okay.
in a boat.
But anyway, so tune in
I'll swing by
7
and pick you
o'clock.
guys up.
Yes.
7 o'clock PPT, towards the end of the program. I will also be on At Issue this Sunday, 10 a.m. on Channel 5 KSTP, At Issue with Tom Hauser, and then Amy and I every Tuesday are on the BS show with Bob Sansevere. What's
And
everyone
then,
else got?
Brian, do you want to tell us about how you were at the Humphrey?
Oh, I was going to have that be my thing, so I'll get to that.
Oh, okay. Well, then we can't comment on that out here. That's fine.
Well, you can. You can be the comment. Well, you know what? Okay, hey, no, I'll do my thing now. I was going to thank the University of Minnesota, the Humphrey Center, for bringing me and former Senate Minority Leader Melissa Lopez Franzen in to speak to their Humphrey Policy Fellows alumni group. It was a great conversation, and I managed to get through it without getting sick. So it was great.
Well,
So
congrats
thank
on
you so
that.
much for inviting me. And just a couple things on that is that when I mentioned the podcast, the room, there were many people clapping about the
because it's
podcast.
alumni. It's the Policy Fellows alumni.
Oh,
so we've
nice.
been
Everybody wished Javier a happy birthday when I mentioned that it was on his birthday, and one person asked me if I had ever been on Javier and Amy's podcast.
because they're alumni. We go speak to them every year.
I love that person.
Whoever that
yeah,
is.
no.
Been on that.
Whoever that is,
Been on that
Nine
show?
let's
years.
go into Javier's hot tub and talk
9
about
years.
Brian.
They haven't let you on that show?
Whoever said that,
For 9
just
years.
slide into our DMs,
Hit us up.
and we want to go out.
They ever let you on that show?
Javier, anything else or Patreons or anything?
We have no new members of the club. I've been
Is this a
easy on
club
people
member?
because it's the summer. Is this a club member? The gift that we got?
It is.
Better be.
Oh.
Okay.
Patreon. Yes.
Someone on our Patreon is also bringing us a gift.
Isn't that nice?
This is very nice.
They're at the
and
top
and you're
of the
going to know
list.
because it's one of our more famous Patreon members.
Oh, okay.
It is Louise Dickmeyer
Nice.
of the Mankato Children's Museum.
Of the Not a Dick Club.
She went to Seattle to visit her daughter and her daughter's wife, and they had this hanging on the wall.
And she stole it.
No, she did not steal it. They found the person who made it and had got her last one.
Oh, my God.
And is giving it to us. So it's a
Oh my God.
yes, it is.
It's embroidered.
It's an embroidered wall hanging that says
Don't be a dick.
don't be a dick.
Wow.
She said that she knew we had to have that, and I said that we would need it we loved it for the studio. And the rest of the statement is don't be a dick, be a dick, Meyer. Give us gifts.
Wow.
I wish people
That
had
is
seen it.
impressive.
Isn't it?
You know what? I
Isn't that
hope
lovely?
I hope those of you who are listening who can afford it and are not contributing feel really bad right now.
Louise
Because
works for a nonprofit. She runs a children's museum.
Exactly.
not only is she not a dick, she got us a gift saying, don't be a
Be a
dick.
dick.
She sought it out, and she has to be around kids
She had
all the
to,
time.
She had to chase this down, right? So she can't have this at the children's museum.
That's right.
No.
She had to put it in this bag
She
so
had to put
she
it in this
could even
bag.
bring it here.
So it's a white paper bag.
Ah.
Isn't that nice?
I love it. Patreon.com/Wrong About Everything podcast.
Put
Don't
it
be a
right
dick.
on your
Yeah, put it
computer,
there.
Davis. There you go. Don't be a dick.
We can set it up every week.
Every week.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks, Louise.
Thanks and thanks.
All right, I go first. My spank is for the Republicans on the oh Christ, what's this committee called? The Transportation and HUD Appropriations Committee. Now, you can think what you like about earmarks. I mean, earmarks are kind of a ridiculous thing. It's where a certain member of Congress says, "Hey, can I get some money for this thing, this project in my district?" And then normally the Democrats hand in theirs, Republicans hand in theirs, they approve them. That's how it goes. Well, until this week, when the Republicans decided they were going to strip out not all of the Democrats' earmarks, not even just a varied amount, so there could be plausible deniability, only the earmarks that were related to the LGBTQ community. So it was for like a LGBTQ center. One was for like housing. One was for housing for elders, LGBT elders. That was Ayanna Presley's, and there was one that two that were like offered services, and so the Republicans decided to strip them out. And I just have to say, you will not win this culture war.
Yes, I would have to say to my congressional Republicans, that was dumb.
That was dumb. That was very dumb. You should have thrown in at least one that wasn't, so you could be like, no, look, we had this other one. It's fine.
What was that when they impeached folks in, what was the state that, is it Tennessee?
Oh, it's that white lady.
Yeah, and then they're like,
gotta
yeah, but-
throw in that white lady. Her too.
Yeah.
These two
Find-
and her. Yeah.
Find that
come
white
on.
lady project.
Yeah.
I know, look.
Yeah. Yeah. One that was like about knitting or something, and be like, we don't want this one either. And my thank, get ready, it's to Marjorie Taylor Greene for creating perhaps the best Joe Biden ad ever. Roll it, Gabe.
Joe Biden had the largest public investment in social infrastructure and environmental programs that is actually finishing what FDR started, that LBJ expanded on, and Joe Biden is attempting to complete programs to address education, medical care, urban problems, rural poverty, transportation, Medicare, Medicaid, labor unions, and he still is working on it.
I mean, so
I approve this message.
I'm sure they edited her a bit.
No, that's exactly what she said.
No, it seemed like there was like a cut in
Well,
that.
yeah, she might have
cut
said something else,
other
but those
things.
were her words.
Yeah,
and
no, I
they-
believe that. Yeah, I don't
and
think
then
it's Photoshop. I
Biden
think
put it up and said, I approve this message. And it got 30 million views in 12 hours.
That is amazing. I hadn't seen it before.
It's
now.
so good.
That is amazing.
It's
Well,
even how she's saying
Urban
it.
problems.
I love they put the like the music
Transportation,
behind her.
Medicare, Medicaid. Shut up! Education.
He wants to protect
Urban
abortion
problems,
rights.
rural problems.
Right. Yeah.
Puppies and kittens.
Yeah.
Getting along.
So, Marjorie, I see why they threw you out of that really right-wing caucus because it looks like you're coming around.
Yeah.
And I don't welcome you, but,
Yeah.
well,
Thanks for the endorsement.
all right, I'm done.
All right, who's next?
I can go. So this last week we learned that 19 Republican attorneys general that sent a letter to the Biden administration demanding access to private medical records of citizens who cross state lines to access abortion services or gender affirming care in states where such care is legal. We know that in Tennessee, the attorney general has already sought and been and received the medical records of people who have sought gender therapy. It is terrifying, and the Justice Department had after Dobbs. I'll quote here: the department has heard concerns that civil, criminal, or administrative investigations or proceedings have been instituted or threatened on the basis of reproductive health care that is lawful under the circumstances which is provided, and so they're seeking to protect those records. And of all, Republican legislators seem to not get the message. This is so terrifying to so many people. On the issue of abortion, every time it has been on the ballot since overturning Roe v. Wade, our side on this of reproductive freedom has won, and now they're going the extra step of actually demanding to have access to people's medical records across state lines. So if you decide to exercise your rights, so if you're a transgender person, not only are you not safe in a red state, they want you to not be safe anywhere in this country. If you're a woman seeking reproductive health care, they want you to, and that means not just people who want to end unwanted pregnancies. We've seen many cases of women who are being forced to go to term on babies that they want, but they can't keep alive and won't stay alive, and they can't get the reproductive health care that they deserve in their own states because it is now illegal. And so now they want to be able to chase these women into the states where they can exercise their rights. It is like even further than what we than the nightmares we've been seeing, and it is amazing. So that is my spank. So this is a spank because so there was this dinner. So we learned this week. It's actually a two-hitter that RFK Jr., who is running for the Democratic nomination and is a vaccine conspiracy theorist, he said at a dinner in New York that COVID may have been genetically engineered to target black and white folks, and to particularly protect Asians and Jews, and
Ashkenazi Jews,
and the source of that is actually Russian disinformation. But I said it's a thank because at that same dinner, people might have seen this this story in page 6 of the New York Post, of all places. So it's at this same dinner we first learned of it, about this story that was headlined Robert F. Kennedy Jr. press dinner explodes in war of words and farting.
Oh, it's just wonderful.
Yeah,
this story is amazing.
And I'm just going to read part from it because it's so good. Page 6 regrets to report that a press dinner to boost Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s presidential campaign descended into a foul bout of screaming and polemic farting Tuesday night. The White House hopeful attended the affair at Tony's on the Upper East Side, no doubt hoping to impress the ladies and gentlemen on the fourth estate. But a shouting match over climate change broke out between two boisterous old men, sending the evening down an extremely unfortunate path. The gaseous exchange, to which page 6 bore reluctant witness, began after a guest asked Kennedy, founder of the ecological organization Waterkeeper Alliance, about the environment. And it seems that the mere inquiry was enough to set off apparently drunk gossip columnist turned flack Doug Deschert, the host of the event, who became enraged and screamed at the top of his lungs, "The climate hoax!" Meanwhile, octogenarian art critic Anthony Hayden Guest, who appeared to have been sleeping happily for most of the dinner, was roused by the abrupt rumpus. He suddenly opened his eyes and denounced his longtime pal Deschert, calling him a miserable blob. "Shut up," said. This is so good. Deschert continued to scream lightly. Wait, I want to get to the part where he says,
we should have written it as a play.
Yeah, it should have been a play that we all played different roles.
Here it seems Deschert sensed the need for a new rhetorical tack and let rip a loud, prolonged fart while yelling, as if to underscore his point, "I'm farting!" The room, which included a handful of journalists as well as Kennedy's campaign manager, former Representative Dennis Kucinich. By the way, this story has everything. Was stunned, seemingly unsure about whether Deschert was farting at Hayden Guest personally or at the very notion of global warming.
It's hard to tell.
It's not helping.
Yeah. But then they contacted him. We're told Deschert and Hayden Guest have known each other for over 3 decades. When asked to comment about this outburst the next day, Deschert told us, "I apologize for using my flatulence as a medium of public commentary in your presence." He also asked to refer to him as either a quote gallivanting boulevardier or a quote beer-fueled sex rocket.
I mean, they're insane, right? This is the Mad Hatter's table.
When you first sent this, Davis, when you first sent this story around, I was like, okay, this is not true. Like, this can't be true. Like, because it reads like it's written by like Dorothy Parker, or like Gertrude Stein, about like the intelligentsia of New York, with like the decadent intelligentsia.
They were just basically taking notes.
Yeah.
like
verbatim.
Wow, this is writing itself, but like. I didn't say it is a remarkable talent to be able to
just fart
yeah. like and announce I'm farting. I mean, it is a skill that our friend of the program, Brian McDaniel, has.
Yeah, but not on cue. He does in the studio, but not to punctuate an argument. Just
and
to
he
chase
doesn't
us all
announce
out.
it. He doesn't.
Oh, he whispers it to me after. He whispers it into my ear.
Like a gentleman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, so thank you to Spank RFK for your dangerous conspiracy theories, but thank you for
having that party,
for having that dinner and that lovely. And I want to meet these gentlemen. They're amazing.
All right. Well, mine
Amy?
is we mentioned at the top of the hour, friend of the program, Jeremy Estenson, who we nicknamed the Otters. So mine is an otter of him. Is an otter of him. I didn't intentionally mean to do that. I'm farting.
I'm farting.
In Santa Cruz, California, surfers have been terrorized by an aggressive sea otter. I don't know what they did to him, but this is not his fault because sea otters are delightful.
No.
He's been biting boards and forcing them to swim ashore.
Good.
At first, they were like, look how cute. But then it bit down on the board and chewed off a piece. And we were like, what's going on? This also should have been his play.
Yeah, he's pissed.
Yeah, I was scared. I was trying to swim away, but before I was able to get far, it bit my leash. But what the thank is for also the Instagram account at Native Santa Cruz. At Native Santa Cruz. You need to go there. There are pictures, so many pictures of sea otters riding the sea. There's if you scroll down, there's a wonderful. He's just riding his surfboard. Yeah. Look at him. I don't even know why they're upset.
He's mad because he's just stealing the surfboards to ride them.
Look at him. He's just riding the sea.
I bet you some surfer was a real dick to him, and he was like, "Really,
really, yeah."
You know what? I hope they're not talking to the orcas
waves.
though. Like,
he's just catching waves.
Yeah.
The orcas and the otters.
Some tasty curl, right? I don't know.
Leave the otters alone.
Yeah, leave them alone. And so cute. Look, now they've put out a warning: aggressive sea otter in the area. Enter the water at your own risk. Keep away from marine wildlife.
The picture they chose, it's like an otter on its back.
Just as cute as it can be. Anyway, so I guess it's my thank, and go to Native Santa Cruz on Instagram and check out these delightful pictures.
I like it.
And there you go, Otter. That's it.
Brian, it's your turn.
No, I won't do a thank because I feel like I did a double thank because of Louise Dickmeyer.
Oh, okay.
People's champ.
I did my thank earlier, which of course was the U of M Humphrey Policy Fellows. But I also have a video. So for my spank, Gabe, is that ready to go?
And I think the first part of this issue that should be articulated is AI is kind of a fancy thing. First of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is, it's about machine learning. And so the machine is taught. Oh, no. And part of the issue here is what information is going into the machine. that will then determine, and we can predict then, if we think about what information is going in, what then will be produced in terms of decisions and opinions that may be made through that process. And I think the first.
So that, of course, was Vice President Kamala Harris. What the hell? When she was in the Senate, obviously I was no fan of hers, but I don't remember her being colossally stupid, which seems to be what she is. She just comes off time and time again as the kid who forgot there was an assignment and then is trying to come up with their answers on the fly with that weird laugh. So I'm not sure whether she's just completely unprepared to be vice president or whether the cocaine in the White House was hers. But in any event,
it's like they said, go talk about AI.
Do you disagree with her definition of AI? It's artificial.
Is it artificial intelligence?
Machine learning.
Artificial intelligence.
Like either someone didn't write her,
Listen,
either
of course,
someone
only
didn't.
2 letters.
Not
didn't
everyone
give her
knows
a briefing
that. Not
packet,
everyone knows that.
Or she was like, I don't need to read this.
This press conference was brought to you by the letter A.
Is she going to be your VP?
Is she going to be our VP?
She
is our VP.
I understand. Is she going to be the VP candidate for?
It
for
feels
Biden?
like she's trying not to be. She's like, I don't want to do this
What
job
do I need
anymore.
to do? Right.
It's fine.
well, in any event, with that, I am conservative strategist and beer-fueled sex rocket, Brian McDaniel.
I'm farting. Amy, go.
I'm small business attorney Davis Sensman.
You are terrible. Like, I am a beer-fueled sex rocket. I mean, what do you do?
And we are
Wrong about
everything.
Take us away, Gabe.
Oh, look at there's the alien. Seem to
I
be a
mean,
new
the aliens
sponsor.
are going to come in and save us from AI.
Yeah. So everybody was right.